Hello and welcome to today's episode of Two Pigs in a Pod, a podcast for the people of Glazing by the people of Glazing. I'm George, your host, and I'm delighted to welcome onto the show today Sam Davies. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Hi, George. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. And yeah, as we always do with our first question is for guests to introduce themselves and what they do within our industry. So who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I am Technical Manager for FENSA. For those of you that don't know what FENSA is the country's largest competent person scheme. We're the go-between between an installer, installations being registered to the local authority. I look after a few teams within the company, which centralises around important functions such as inspections, assessments, compliance, and competence of the FENSA registered installers.
Nice. And taking it back to the start, how did you end up in our industry? It's not the route that everyone goes down in their careers, but what was your journey into where you are now?
Yeah, like a lot of people, I sort of fell into glazing. It's a common story, isn't it? But
Yeah.
I started out as a carpentry apprenticeship.
Okay.
Did that for a little while. In actual fact, what happened was the employer at the time went insolvent, so I found myself without a job,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, the apprenticeship had to end. Person I was working with said, "I'm going to go do some windows. Do you fancy coming along with me?" Yeah, I'll give it a crack. And then,
Yeah.
about 23 years later, I'm still here.
Nice. What did you when your friend said that? What did you know about what you was going to potentially be doing?
Absolutely nothing. Nothing in the slightest. I knew what a window was, and I knew how to open one. I knew how to open a door and things like that. But nothing to do with all the ins and outs of anything that involves an installation or the fabrication of a window. Little bits of work that I'd done up until that point on the carpentry front, but that was more internal doors, and so you sort of think, oh well, I did all right there. I can get myself into doing this as well. But then it's when you actually start doing it, you realise there's a hell of a lot more involved in the installation of a window or a door, a composite door, or what bifolds weren't too popular back then. But your patio doors or your French doors and things like that. They are very different into and much more complex than you would imagine before you start doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you first started with your friend, what happened? What was the sort of the route from there to sort of where you are now?
I quickly developed a passion, George, for the industry and the line of work, dealing with consumers or the homeowners and customers, and just the general camaraderie of being on site and working in those situations. I really really enjoyed it. I saw the opportunities that were there available to me as well. You get sold down there, a bit of a dream, or you can make some decent money fitting windows and that sort of stuff. But it wasn't about that for me. It was the opportunity to actually build a career within that area. And so yeah, I took that with both hands really. And yeah, here I am today, doing what I'm doing now.
So do you still feel that passion now? I'm sure you do. You're still sort of dealing with it day in day out, obviously from a fencer point of view. But yeah, do you still have that passion now for the industry? Do you feel like it's still burning there to make a difference?
Yeah. As I've developed my career in the industry, I have had separate passions throughout. I've spent time training people, and you think you can make a difference in that area, and you tend to evolve yourself, don't you? And you grow within the industry, and you see the opportunities that get presented to you. And the real passion I have now is helping support installers, younger installers, people coming into the industry, but not just that, the generations that have been in the industry for 20, 30 years. It's an ever evolving landscape of compliance and legislation. And I know, because I've experienced it, when you are limited on time and you don't have much spare time to look into documentation, look into paperwork, and it all becomes a bit of a burden, doesn't it? I've been that installer who's head office is the dashboard of my van, and the last thing you want to be doing is looking at legislation and having to be aware of what regulations might be coming up. So I see the importance in the role that we play, and I'm really passionate about the support that we can actually provide to people.
Yeah, nice. And speaking of that, obviously for those that know you, started off at RISA before joining FENSA. But what was it that initially led you to there? You know, you said you've been working as an installer. What took you to be part of one of the
Yeah,
governing schemes?
yeah. So I spent about 12 years in installation, surveying, service engineer, all different roles, and then a couple of years actually delivering apprenticeships and training some of the apprentices coming into the industry. From there, I went into contract management and training apprentices again within the internal team there, and managing some of their processes. When the opportunity came to work with RISA, it was really exciting for me. It was one of those things where I couldn't say no to it. You know, it was a rare opportunity to do, and the excitement of being able to again support installers. You know, be that go-to person, and when people do need some technical support or they need some advice on some of the nuances around installation and separate situations, then I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be the one that was supporting people and helping the industry grow and helping the industry raise standards ultimately. And that's what they're all about. That's the whole mantra of RISA as an assessment body. They're there to support. They're there to raise standards.
Nice. And you mentioned there earlier just about apprentices. You know, it was a big topic. One of the, obviously, John Manel from GGF was on a panel for talking about apprentices. How, you've worked directly with them. You've been getting them into the industry. Do you feel that they are an important part of that next generation for our industry is through apprenticeships?
Yes, it's got a really important role to play, and bringing in the next generation of installer really. But then you want those people to mould and progress themselves as
Yeah.
well. So you want them to spend time with installers, but then we need to also develop the next generation of leaders within our industry also. You know, the business leaders, the people that are coming into certification schemes like ourselves, people that are coming into inspection bodies like RISA, working for organisations like GGF and the like. Um, that is a very natural route to do that. I don't think it fills all the gaps that we need to fill. I think there's a lot to be said for looking to transition other professions into the industry. I know that a lot have been discussed about potential people leaving military settings, and
Yeah.
then they'd be well placed to come into our industry there. I think that's an area that is underutilized and think that can be tapped into a little bit further. So whilst apprentices and bringing in fresh blood into the industry from a young age is definitely should be an objective of ours as an industry, I think that we need to look in other areas as well.
Yeah, and you said about about military and things. If someone was listening to this podcast now and they're they've just come out of the military, what would be the skills that you would look for? You know, basic skills that you can develop. But what would be the initial skills that they may have that you may be a fit for our industry?
Just need to be a hard worker first and foremost, and not be too scared of heights as well. Because we do have to go up a ladder every now and then. And one of the reasons I'm not an installer anymore because I'm absolutely petrified of heights. Actually. um, a bit of bravery, openness, ambition as
Yeah,
well. That's these are the sort of core values that you need about you. You will get as much out of this industry as what you put into it. That's
yeah,
what I've learned. I personally didn't come out of school with any level of GCSEs or degrees or anything like that. I went straight into work. I was straight into hands-on work, and it was only as I matured and developed myself that I started to plan how my career path would look. And genuinely, the glazing industry is uniquely placed, I think, to help people grow and give everyone that platform to be what they want to be.
Yeah. Do you think we do enough of that, of showing off what an industry we have to the outside world, to the normal person, that we know, I know, that it's a great industry for people, and people are in our industry, like you say,
Mhm.
20, 30, 40, 50 years even,
Yeah.
and had a really successful career. But do you think we do enough of that, sort of showing off our own, what we've got?
Yes and no. I think we're getting better. I
Yeah.
think we're getting a lot better at showcasing of late. We've got a long way to go. We really have, And I always say, how do you make Windows sexy? It's a hard question, isn't it? It's a hard question to answer. But ultimately, that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to make the industry attractive to people. I go to sort of modern apprenticeship events supporting John Minnell and the GGF with that. And usually the conversation from the younger generation, they want to know, how hard is the job? How much money will I earn?
Yeah.
That's what they care about.
Yeah.
That's literally what they care about. And they will ask that question to every single different potential trade or potential profession that they have. And so what do we do to set ourselves apart from the other trades, what might
Yeah.
be seen as a more recognised trade? So there's a lot to discuss there, I think.
Yeah, a whole podcast episode probably just about, how we do
Absolutely.
what we do well and what we can do better, I guess, from that point of view.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing I will say is, and any installer that hears this will agree with me wholeheartedly. When you have finished an installation that you're particularly proud of, and you step back to the end of the drive and you look back at it and you make note of the transformation to that property that you're responsible for, it's a really nice feeling. It's a really, really nice feeling. And I don't think any other trade can give you that. I really don't. We're quite. You can replace a house full of windows in a week, maybe a little bit more, depending on the size of the house. There isn't many transformations that can be done as quickly as what we do that have as much of an impact as what we actually do. You know, um, yeah, yeah. Like I say, it's a nice feeling.
And it's so on show, isn't it? You don't have to go in someone's house once you've done a job or finish a job to see what you've done. You can drive down their street and go, yeah, no, I done that. We've had people on here before, that are installers or companies that have, local, and they go around seeing the stuff that they've done that are 20 years old and still looking
Yeah,
as good as when they installed it.
yeah. I'm at a point now where my wife tells me, "I know you did that house. Don't tell me you did that house when it preempts it before we've even driven up the road."
Yeah. No.
But
And going back to speak about Fencer, what support do you give? What's the day-to-day support that you can give an installer? Times are changing, as we'll move on to in a second. But
mm,
what is the support that's there for them?
there's a lot of support that happens in the background that people don't see with Fencer. A good example of that is we are currently lobbying with government along with the GGF to have VAT reduced on replacement window and door installations, domestic installations. A real key milestone to those efforts, and those efforts have been ongoing for a long time. A real key milestone to that is getting the support of a minister, and we've recently got the support of Lord Foster of Bath, who is very passionate about having double glazing included in the list of VAT reductions for domestic installation. So we're really excited about this, like really, really excited about it. And if you have a look at FENSA or GTF's LinkedIn page, you can get a bit more information about that. It's huge news. I can't make any can't sugarcoat it. I'm not going to. It's massive for us, and we really think that it can really stimulate the market and help grow companies and give the homeowners a bit more freedom to spend a little bit more in that area. It's there's VAT breaks for all different home improvements, and glazing needs to be one of them as well.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that's what it will do? You know, we're speaking hypothetically because still stuff to go through to get it to work. But will that give the industry a boost we need? You know, but we were both at a glazing summit. Obviously, you were speaking at the glazing summit, and I was there.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of negative stuff about the industry generally speaking. You know, I know that's not everyone's take on it. We speak to people that say that the times are okay or even better. They're doing quite well, but the data shows that it's a bit of a struggle at the moment. Do you think that could realistically give us that jump start we need?
I'm not sure about a jump start. I think it could help. It can help push things along a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that there's a good amount of sort of negativity about the economy and how people are spending, and it's not. I don't feel it's quite as glum as what can be made out personally.
Yeah.
The data that we have available to us shows us that there is a market still. There is that homeowners are still spending, consumers are willing to spend. But what I find is that they are just spending a bit more wisely. And for want of a better term, anyways, they have a lot more information available to them
Yeah.
very quickly at their fingertips. And, I don't know about you, George, but I do extensive research with any purchase that I make nowadays,
Yeah.
and anything that costs even an unsubstantial amount of money. I want to know that what I'm buying is going to serve me.
Yeah.
And I always put myself in the consumer's shoes when I think that, and I think, well, what are my habits as a consumer?
Yeah.
That's what other people's habits are going to be at the same time. So if you put yourself as a service provider, and you consider yourself as a consumer, what would you expect from yourself? Then you're flipping it around, and then you will then start treating as consumers as you would expect yourself to be treated as a consumer. My wife, she hates the amount of research I have to do with every purchase that we make. She really does. But you want confidence, don't you? At the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the stories that you see and the stories that you hear, you go online, you're only ever really looking for the negative stuff. No one
Well,
really cares about.
you see it on the news, don't you? Not even about our industry, but the general news is generally the negative news makes the news rather than the positive stuff. It always ends up lower down somewhere where you got to do a bit more digging to find it.
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly it. And you might have 100 reviews on a product, and then there's one bad review. You want to know what that bad review says. You want to know what that experience was like, don't you?
Yeah. And do you think that the data that you're seeing in terms of, we saw it again at the Glazing Summit, in terms when homeowners are taking a bit more time to make that decision, they might be going for a different material rather than PVC, going for aluminium or even going for timber. Do you see that with what you're seeing?
Not necessarily. Again, I'm going to go against the grain a little bit with this. In terms of what we see through registration data, there's no difference to the share of aluminium, timber, PVC. It's always been pretty consistent over the years. So there's no real uptake in any particular product. I mean, any of us will know that the product that you choose will be very much dependent on your property as well. There are situations where aluminium might not be the best choice for certain properties, and you might need to go down a timber or a UPVC route. What we've got is a very high standard of product nowadays, haven't we? There is, I think, long gone are the days when PVC are seen as the cheap, nasty option. We are literally all on a par with each other when you look at the standard of product available to you. Yes, there's cheaper options, isn't there? But if you're looking for premium, then you won't go wrong with a choice of either or any material product. What I see from a consumer's perspective is definitely they are looking for quality. They are looking for quality over anything else. We will have a certain demographic who are completely price driven. That is still the case, and I don't think that will ever not be the case. But by and large, they're looking for value for money, and most consumers are willing to spend on quality, knowing that they're going to get the longevity.
Yeah, and I guess that's across the board, isn't it? Not just with the window or the door itself, but the install as well. It's everything's got to marry up to their expectations, whatever they may be.
Absolutely that, and never has an individual's profile, talking installer wise here, never has that been more important. The building regulations stipulate competence is a requirement, and it's a legal requirement within those building regulations. And the consumer, more modern consumer, is more aware of that than what they were 5-10 years ago. So they will be asking those questions. They'll be asking, what are your competencies? What's your background like? Can you send me some case studies of your previous work? We do see we see this behaviour nowadays, and it's a bit of a shift from a couple of years ago, because it was very rare you'd get that sort of behaviour, but it's much more common nowadays. Much more common. It's really important that the installers are aware of that and they're prepared for that. So you go into every consumer relationship at the first interaction expecting to be able to produce your documentation, produce your evidence, produce your background, show them your qualifications, and then the people that can produce that information, that's where trust is built. That's the foundations of trust are built on that interaction there. You have a homeowner that is more inclined to ask those questions, but an installer that can't answer those questions, and you get the old, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's fine. We'll sort that out. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that." Yeah. It's gone are the days when you can adopt that approach and be successful. You need to be prepared to be able to go through in detail what compliance looks like, what regulations need to be adhered to, and what your competency requirements are as well.
Yeah. Do you think that's one of the common issues you face day to day? Is that education of the installer of what they now need in their arsenal just to sort of get in the door, really, before they even get a sale or a lead, whatever it's that education of we heard about it, what's in your toolkit at the Glazing Summit. Is that kind of what you see day to day of the problems? Is that education?
What I see is the companies that adopt this already are being very successful. They are flying, and there's a very much when you speak to the industry, you hear a lot of feast or famine, and we are two separate ends of the scale right now, and it doesn't mean to say that there's not opportunity for anybody that hasn't adopted yet. We are in the early phases of those sort of legislative changes. Like I say, the ones that have adopted already, the early adopters, they're seeing a lot of success out of that. And they're seeing they're accepting of the way that the future will look for the industry. And they're embracing it as an opportunity rather than a challenge.
Yeah. Do you think that's what we need to promote that more, to be ready? John Vanston said it at the Glazing Summit, to be part of the people that are doing it now rather than once it come in. Do you think that's for sort of your role or FENSA's role in the next few months, is to say, this is coming, be ready for it, be the early adopters, and you be in a better way than other companies that wait until it actually is here?
Exactly that. Yeah, 100%. It's we've seen it in the past. We've had previous experiences where we've reacted, and I say generalize. We as an industry, we've reacted to change rather than preempted the change and actually prepared for it. If you can preempt it and you can prepare for it, it's no longer a change, or it's no longer a challenge. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to grow. It's an opportunity for you to perform better and raise your own standards. If we react afterwards, then we're left behind already.
Yeah. Do you think, I think this is probably a given, but these changes that are coming are significant for our industry, or one of the biggest changes we've seen in our industry for a long time?
Yes, yeah, they are. We are looking at some significant changes, but I'll go back to what I said before in terms of the significance of them. If you're not prepared, then the consequences are going to be significant. Then the changes will feel like a massive barrier, a huge hurdle. If you start preparing now, then we'll be looking at a phased delivery of changes rather than a big bang of.
Worldly changes.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, from a fence perspective, we'll continue to update installers as and when we do receive information, and we'll ensure that as many people as we can are empowered with that required information, and so that they're prepared to actually deliver on the documentation evidence that they need to have available to them, their competencies, their skills, knowledge, behaviours, and all that sort of stuff. Um, once you actually look at it and you get to the nuts and bolts of it all, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. It just feels like a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it will be of benefit, and I'll ask you this question about sort of raising the standard of our industry. Do you think it will, push everyone up? Even if it's just to be on that regulation changes and understand what's going on, it will naturally raise standards within our industry.
It has to. It's as simple as that. Because if we don't raise the standards, then we'll be held accountable for the failings of not doing so. That's the spirit. It's the spirit of change, the spirit of legislative change from the building safety regulator is all with the objective of raising standards and improving building safety. I mentioned building safety, and it's been in conversation for a good while now, and it will continue to do so, and even more so as we move forward. There's a lot of misunderstanding when you mention the words building safety or the Building Safety Act, and a lot of people just automatically think health and safety. Health and safety doesn't necessarily apply to me and that sort of stuff. It's not health and safety. We're talking about building safety, and it's about your behaviours, your actions, the work that you do to a property, how that contributes to the overall safety of that building. And that's what it's all about, and the accountabilities as well for not doing so, the responsibilities of as an installer and the homeowner in the same respect. They have to understand that regulations need to be adhered to also, and they have to understand that deliberate contravention of a regulation technically is a criminal offence, and you can be fined, you can be prosecuted for doing so. The message needs to go across the board. It's not just suppliers, it's not just installers, it's homeowners as well. We're all equally accountable.
Yeah, nice. And moving on to look into sort of your looking glass of what's to come in the future, both immediate future and ahead. What does your role look like in the coming months, and what does Fencer's role looks like in our industry? We've spoken a lot there just about what's coming, but what's Fencer's role in that?
So FENSA are very privileged to have an incredibly talented team, a really talented team, and some exceptional leadership as well. Our goal moving forward is to clearly support the sustainability, not just of our installers, but the wider industry as well. We need to give installers the platform for growth, through systems, improved systems, really sound guidance that we provide to installers. And we need to navigate the changes just as much as anybody else does. So
Yeah.
our goal is also at the same time to make sure that we understand the changes, to make sure that we can give the proper guidance, and we can help installers grow and navigate it themselves.
Yeah, nice. And what kind of advice would you give installers maybe listening to this, obviously they're like we said about doing a podcast episode about certain other subjects. I'm sure you could do a whole on advice. And what if people were to take one bit of information out of today's episode of what advice you can give them about the coming changes, what would it be?
Prepare, get your documentation sorted. It's not an easy task. We'll absolutely attend to that. We're here to support you. We're here to support you with anything you need in terms of how you produce that documentation, how you maintain it, how you maintain those standards, really. But I mean, look, it's not just about what the consumer wants or what FENSA wants or anything like that. It's what law determines that you need moving forward. I'm talking, elements like U values, your product information, so UKCA marking, your declarations of performance, your own documentation around your contracts, your contract with your homeowners, your method statements, your standard operating procedures that determine the behaviours of installers when they're on site, be them subcontracted installers or employed installers. They fall under the same bracket. You want them to maintain the same standards yourselves. And then, not even to mention your competencies. There are some significant changes literally around the corner. On the MTC front, we're expecting that the BSR will be publishing a new MTC framework in the coming weeks. It's, from a practical perspective, you shouldn't see too much change, but from a governance perspective, so from a FENSA view of things, there'll be changes in the way that we establish evidence and we perform assessment. Relatively subtle, so installers won't see too much of it, but you will find that there'll be more of a paper trail against everything that is being performed. So installations will have a stronger paper trail with them. Competency requirements have stronger paper trails. It's all about creating a digital footprint of that installation that stays with the property. It's traceable to the individuals, and the responsibilities have always been there. It doesn't change in that regard. It's just how those responsibilities are evidenced and accepted and documented, and proven. Yes, exactly that. Yeah. So gone are the days where competence could be seen and established and declared. Those days are long gone. Moving forward, competence is demonstrated through certification. Tickets, as you might want to call it, if you're old school. Tickets, qualifications, skills cards, your own documentation, your continued professional development. It's all going to form part of your profile as a competent person.
Yeah, nice. And finally, is this an exciting time for our industry? People, I feel like when we talk about these changes, it's kind of a bit of a negative, like, oh, it's wholesale changes. The industry is going to change, but we don't really speak about it in a positive way. But is this an exciting time for our industry? And is it an exciting time for you as part of that? You've done the installing, now you're obviously working for FENSA. Is it an exciting time?
I think so. I genuinely think we are in a very exciting period. I suppose it's how you look at it, really, isn't it? We're looking at glass half full, glass half empty. But I see the opportunity in change, and I think that we as an industry should do that as well. If we look at what the changes are, bodies like GGF, like FENSA, we can support in understanding those changes for sure. But the important thing is that we embrace them. Change isn't about oversight, governance, or anything like that, or red tape. It's about improving standards and improving safety. The important thing is that we embrace it. If we embrace it, then it's an opportunity for us, and we will be successful with that, and we will grow because we've adopted those changes. Change is inevitable. It's unavoidable. It's going to happen. There's no point fighting. There really isn't.
No. Nice. Well, thanks very much, Sam. We're going to move on to our quick fire question round now. So if you've seen previous episodes or listened to previous episodes, just one word, one sentence answers, and first thing that comes to your head. So we'll start as we always do. Do you prefer talking over email or by phone?
Phone.
Nice. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Pizza.
Nice, me too. What's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
Football.
Nice. Who do you support?
No comment. I'm an Aston Villa fan.
Oh, okay, nice. What's your favorite way to unwind after work? I guess, yeah, maybe football's there as well, but what do you do to unwind after work?
Yeah, I play football. Yeah.
Nice. What's your most used emoji when talking about work? Is it hands on heads, or smiley face, or what is it? What do you use?
Have you ever seen Inside Out?
Yes.
Yeah, you know the anger, the angry face,
Yeah.
the angry emotion. That's the one.
Nice. Nice. And lastly, if you could swap roles with anyone at Fencer for a day, who would it be?
It would most certainly be Simon Swift.
I know him very well. He's a PiGs regular, Simon. So yeah, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Sam. For our last part of the podcast, we let our guests give a shout out to people in the industry, out the industry, friends, family, whoever it may be. So, who your shout out or shout outs for?
Just a shout out to the whole FENSA team, really. I said before, we've got an incredibly talented bunch of people that are with us. People wouldn't normally expect to, but we are actually a very small team. It's not a large establishment. It really isn't. And so we're like a little family. We support each other. Whenever there's hard times going by, and like any business, we have our little challenges here and there. And yeah, the team are just being incredibly supportive of each other at the moment. And yeah, hopefully they hear this, and I want to thank them for all their efforts. And yeah, we'll keep at it.
Nice, perfect. Well, thanks very much for joining us on Two Pigs in the Pod today, Sam. Yeah, it was great to speak to you about your career, really, and your role at Fencer, and obviously what Fencer do, and yeah, all those changes, whether we like it or not, that are coming in the next months and years.
No changes, opportunities.
Yes, that's it. That's the opportunity. Well, thanks very much, Sam. That's it for today. You can find Sam's episode and all others on our YouTube channel at People in Glazing Society, on our website www.peopleinglazing.society.co.uk, or available to download on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And once you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. So thanks again to Sam for joining us, and see you again soon.